here with Hicham and Khalidi, the curator of the Dutch Pavilion. This is HYPER Annotations 3.0 triple ampersands published program. Hicham, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about the subject matter or the theme of this year's Dutch Pavilion, and perhaps how it relates to the larger theme of this year's Venice Biennale, which is foreigners everywhere?
Sure. So the exhibition is an exhibition with a collective, a Congolese collective, Secrétaire Travailleurs Plantation Congolaise, so the circle of plantation art workers in Congo, who we have given or we have asked to have the stage of the Dutch Pavilion to showcase their work, which is about creating sculptures that are casted in cacao and palm oil, which are within the products of the plantation, and which then are sold in the international market, which they buy back land from those people that made them work on the plantations.
Oh, wow.
Unilever.
Yes, yes.
So Unilever was a English-Dutch corporation that got its concessions in 1908 by the Belgians.
Yes.
We are also next to the Belgian Pavilion, so that's a good thing. And that kept on going for 100 of years. So these are also descendants of those people that worked on the plantations. And some of them even were working on the plantations when they started becoming artists in 2014. Or becoming artists, they were artists before. So when they continued, in fact, their practices the practices that were severed by the colonial project.
Yes, yes. And what do you see as the role of the curator being in tackling something like colonialism or perhaps conquest more generally or something like this? How do you see that?
Yeah. Well, in this case, I mean, there were a few tasks to be done. As a curator, normally, I mean, you have many different choices. When Pedrosa makes a thematic exhibitions, then obviously you bring in many different kinds of works within a thematic, within a team.
Yes.
In this case, it's a collective. It's people. It's on a plantation. It's about real life. It's about living conditions, and it's about an entanglement, because this project stems from the artist Renzo Martens, who is a Belgian Dutch artist, or Dutch artist, but who lived in Belgium before, and who has been working in Congo for 20 years, and who then since 2014 has set up these workshops for people on the plantations to start making work. So for me, the process was how to mediate this. How do I mediate this history of previous work with, let's say, the future? Where do we want to head to?
Yes.
And we all decided in the group, because there's 25 members in the CATPC, there's Renzo Martens, there's I, that we would go for solutions. The future is, and the task is that we are working for them and that we mediate the process for them in order to give the message or tell the people that the most important thing here, why we are here, is for the recuperation of their land and to get back their fragmented histories that were taken from others, that are in all the museums of the world.
Yes, yes.
So there's also this link between the plantations and the museums there.
Yes. Can you tell us a bit about this sort of mise en scene of the dripping? It's on the pavilion from the outside. It's on the wall text. It's in the film as well. Yeah.
So the process was a process of constantly asking questions for me and then getting answers. Those, much of it I recorded on audio and video, and I wrote, and then I gave it to them. They wrote letters back to me. Everything is in the catalog, if you will. I can give you one and you can see it. So when I asked them, we have cacao sculptures, there's palm oil dripping, from the walls. What is it that you want to do? So they said that they didn't want to make a beautiful show. That for them it was important to convey this big message, which is that what we live off, in fact, is produced by them.
Yes.
All our knowledge, all our produce, all our consumption has another side to it, which is veiled, veiled by all the aesthetics that we have here. Yes. So that's in fact the message.
If I can talk about some more formal aspects.
Sure.
I was very curious about how some of the objects you see in the pavilion also appear in the video. So I wanted to know a little bit about this, perhaps the logic behind it. Yes.
I don't think there's a specific logic to that, other than that the themes or the subjects that they are confronted with are things that stem or are part of their life. They stem from their conditions.
Yes.
So the sculptures are about the plantation. The sculptures, each sculpture has maybe 4 or 5 stories into
Yes,
it.
yes.
The plantation, the museum, the history,
Yes.
the community.
Yes.
Those are all important aspects,
Yes.
you know. You have to see it this way. When Unilever got their concessions, they razed all those forests and all those villages.
Yes.
So they took away all the biodiversity and all the cultural diversity that was there. In order to get people working there, they got all that labor from other villages. They are the descendants of those people that were taken from other villages in order to work there. Under dire circumstances, you know. I mean, still now people get $30 a month for male workers and $9 a month for female workers. So this is a very dark history, let's say.
Yes.
So in that sense, can you repeat that question again?
Yes, yes.
I lost my
wanted
thread.
to ask about the presence of the sculptures.
Yeah, exactly.
In the
and the
videos.
stories within the sculptures.
Yes.
So in that sense, what you do see is that this is what's on our mind, right? So this is the thing that they want to convey. It's the multiple stories that are part of their lives, and that we are speaking of their living conditions. That it's not only about merely making art as a product. In which you, it's not only an aesthetical product, let's say. So I think that it will always be about that, right? It will always be about what concerns them.
Yes, yes.
And in that sense, also the palm oil and the cacao here concerns them. So that's why you will see it. So that's the aesthetics of it. Let's say it's in fact an aesthetical representation of an ethical thing, right? It's sort of aesthetics and ethics in one.
Yes, yes, I see. And you spoke about history, so I wanted to ask you, firstly, where would you situate this year's pavilion in the history of past Dutch pavilions, but also perhaps, if I may be so bold, in Dutch history as such?
Well, it was pretty difficult though to get this, so we pitched for this, and the very fact that they are Congolese artists and the pavilion needs to have Dutch representation, right? So, and this we could do because Renzo Martens.
Yes.
In fact, I was called in order to work with Renzo
Yes,
on the project. So I took 5 months to talk with him and all the collective in order to come with, to ease the minds or to come to a certain trajectory that makes sense to all of us, right? One of the things was that the pavilion should be represented by a Dutch artist. So we are lending our names to them.
Yes, yes.
So in that sense, in the beginning we couldn't even say we are forwarding the exhibition to them because that was already politically not done. So, but then gradually you see that now still even the ministry is talking about that. So in the end, you know, this whole thing about representation is I think we are overcoming that in a sense, you know, by doing this. So, So.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'd like to end things with a bit of a light question.
Sure.
I want to ask you if there are any pavilions that you're really looking forward to seeing, or perhaps ones which you've seen, which you found.
I think the Spanish pavilion is fantastic, and it has many connections to what we do.
Oh, yes.
And Sandra and Augustine made a really beautiful show. You know, where the Museum Prado sort of is the impetus or the starting point, and there's a lot of relationships. You have to see that this idea of the plantation, so where the produce comes from, is related to consumption, but it's also related to the trade, it's related to the economy, it's related to everything that we have built up in the world. So all these museums and all this art, let's say, and culture is based on a sort of withholding sort of a repository of knowledge, but only for the West. You see what I mean?
Yes, of course, yes.
It's inaccessible. It is. It's erasing other cultures. It's erasing other futures. It's taking one strand. And what's happening here now is really great. We have all these indigenous voices now here, because now you know the arts is always seeking, to finding new roads. We have all these indigenous artists here, but still now we are not talking. You see?
Yeah.
When we have a tribe from the Amazon who is doing this on the big facade of the La Biennale, we should have a forum to sit here and talk with each other, you know? We can make art, but it's much more important that we sit here and talk, you know? So that's the next thing we should do, okay?
Fantastic, let's hope so. Thank you so much, Hicham.
Thank you.